Hey there, welcome. So before we get started, I just want to give you a real quick disclaimer. The information that you're about to see is based on real client scenarios from the work that we do with real businesses. Okay, but things have been changed to anonymize and make it fair for when we're sharing it. So today we are looking at a commercial HVAC contractor, and they are a £1.4 million turnover business. They've got a really, really strong client base, and they've been in business for over 12 years. And last year, they made £128,000 approximately. So about 9p in every pound is actually profit. Their accountant said that the accounts will look absolutely fine, but I'm not sure that they do. So let's have a quick look. Okay, so this is a quick view of the profit and loss account for the year ended December 24. The last set of accounts they had produced. You can see that 1.4 million turnover with 678,000 of GP, 48%, so a bit below the sector norm. Total running costs of 349 brings them in at 128,500, so 9%. So it's not brilliant, not ideal. But let me just let that sit with you for the moment. Okay, 9%. Now consider the fact that in some savings account accounts, particularly a regular saver, you can get 5-6%. So it's a lot of work and a lot of risk to just up that to that 9% level. Okay, so what I want to do first of all is basically get on with things. Let's dive into session one. We're going to do a complete costs audit on this business, and we're going to start by looking at the bank statements. Okay, so let's whip over to those. Okay, so bank statements here. I've been through them obviously beforehand. I've noted things. We've got various areas that obviously we can look up, and basically, yeah, we can work out what's going on. So let me jump into my various notes that I have made. Okay, so the first one is the rent section. So Radford Business Park rent, 4,200. Now, with this, we've got it there scrolling in January, yeah, 4,200. Pop down into February, it's also there, it's at 4,200, and it's also there in March, at 4,200. So we've clearly got a general trend of £4,200 per month. And if we just drop that in, that's 4,200 times 12 is just over 50 grand a year. Now, from what I've been told, the unit size that they've got fits 15 engineers, but there's actually only 6 of them. So they don't really need something of that size. So it's a hell of a cost, right? So the big challenge, I suppose, relating to that is the fact that you've got this business with 50 grand being spent on basically on a premises that's far too big for what they need. So need to be able to get that reviewed, see what kind of contract they're on, and see if we can get that down and get it sorted. So either that needs negotiating or it needs fixing. We've also got the fact of the SimPro software. So I noted that's at £280 a month. They moved across to Jobber instead. So there's money being wasted on paying for SimPro, which does exactly the same as what Jobber does. So it's just 2 different softwares doing the same thing, £280, and it's in there every month. The other that I noted is, on the SimPro, they actually last logged into SimPro, I'm just going to have a look, was November 2023. So it's a fair period of time they've been doing that. The other one is they've still got QuickBooks subscription in here. They're on 0. the accountants, I believe, or so they say anyway. The clients say that the accountants told them they should keep QuickBooks going, even though they've now got zero. I checked; they did transfer some of the data back across. I don't believe they need QuickBooks going as well. They can extract all of that, get it into an Excel format, save it, get themselves off that £120 a month. Let's have a quick look if there was anything else relating to cost audit. Don't believe there were. So let's have a double check onto there. There we go. Okay, yes, sorry, we do have some other bits. So it's in the this Deliverect. So this is actually a restaurant ordering tool, right? And I'm really not quite sure how it happened and why it's in here. They cancelled it after the trial ended, but they've kept somehow the direct debits kept going on, and we had a bit of a dive into it. It's £600 a year for it, and really, why would a HVAC firm have a requirement for a restaurant ordering tool? Doesn't really make much sense at all. So it's clear saving that can be done there of that as well. The other one was insurance in here as well. Where was it I saw it? Insurance Direct, the direct debit. There, the nationwide fleet insurance. 1867. I noted it on the basis that I thought it felt a little bit expensive. So just note that potentially to come back later. Got waste collection services as well. So they were up here. Excuse me, sorry, Biffa Waste Services. So you can see on the 17th of Jan and again on the 29th of Jan. It's a twice weekly collection. When I questioned this with the two directors, they said they actually have a main bin and then an overflow bin as well for when they're busy, because they feel they have occasions where they need to fill up that bin. We did have a look through, and they've only had the overflow bin actually been used and collected twice in the last 2 years. So effectively once a year. I feel like they could just pay for an extra collection. If they cut that twice weekly collection to a fortnightly collection and filled both bins, then that's £7,100 a year that they could be getting back. Okay. The other then is on the tools and the equipment. This was something I noted over on the P&L side of things. So we've got tools and equipment. Just checking what my note says here. Sorry, tools and equipment. No, 25. No stock. No. The same drawer has been bought 4 times. Okay, so the tools and equipment, right? They spent nearly £25,000 last year. Yeah, 24,800. They've got no. Just write my bank statement. Yeah. They've got no stock tracking. There's no job sheet requirements. And actually, we found when we got him to delve into and look about all the various tools and we looked through all the transactions, the same drill has been bought 4 times in the last year. Okay, so I felt like there's some potential savings here. So we calculated it out and we come up with a conservative approach of £8,800 a year. So what we've got to do is get all of this logged into the system. So we need to pop into Pinnacle in here, pop into their session 1, and we need to document the few things that we have found. So the latest one that we said about was the tools and equipment. So it's under the software and tools. So tools being bought incorrect times, and duplicates action required, get better control of tools. And we said that the annual impact was £8,800 here. Okay, so that was the first one. Obviously, that then covered the fee that we've charged, so that covered the guarantee. So we knew we were onto a big winner, and it's not a difficult one as well. We were going to change the waste collections as well. So this was effectively in utilities. Waste collections to frequent. Okay, so we've got the waste collections to frequent. We said the amount that can be saved here and switch to fortnightly collections. Okay, so if they switch them over to fortnightly collections, then that's going to save a bit of money there as well. We've got the Deliverect, or whatever it was called. I'm just going to put it under other, right? Because I don't even know why they've got it. So Deliverect. That, it was £600 for the year. Just cancel that. Whip back over to my other page. What were the other bits that we found on here? We got SimPro software, haven't we, to cancel off? So there we go there. SimPro and Jobber. The annual impact here was 280 times 12. So it's 3,360. Cancel SimPro. Okay, so we've got 19,860 here. The QuickBooks cancellation as well. So on the software and tools, we've got QuickBooks and zero. The annual impact there was 120, wasn't it? Times 12 was 1440. Cancel QuickBooks Online. Okay, so let's have a look what we had left. Okay, yeah, so we've got the rent side of things, and we've also got the insurance side of things as well. So the insurance, let's have a look at what we actually put down for the insurance side of things. So we've got the rent and the insurance side. So the insurance, we believe so from the insurance side, 28. Okay, so we've gone for a conservative approach on the insurance that we think we need to, the action required is get a broker to review it. Based on the experience and that we've got, we think there's a potential £8,000 a year saving. So just double check that was the case. 8,000 divided by 12, yeah, about £600. We think it should be in around about the £1,200 level. They're paying £1,800, so yeah, it's approximately that. So it's the £8,000 a year that potentially could be saved there. And then on the rent side of things, the building and rent, there's an oversized unit. We quickly jumped on online, had a quick look around for other units and things available. We think there's a potential £20,000 a year that can be saved by downsizing or renegotiating. Right, they know that the landlord that they're currently renting from doesn't really want them to leave. He'd be a bit of struggling. The unit had been empty for years before, so there's a potential that they can get that down. Now they might not achieve the full 20,000 there, but they might be able to go some way towards getting it. Okay, so simply across that, we managed to find £49,300. So it's obviously a massive saving. We can obviously tick off that session. We can mark that as done, complete. We managed to find that. But just before we managed to roll into session 2, what I wanted to be able to pick up on was the 49,300 obviously is huge. Like, the aim is for us to find at least £1,500. We've definitely smashed that within that period of time. Also, 49,300 is almost half the profit they made last year. So if you are watching this and then you're wondering whether your business has got these kinds of leaks, of which most do, by the way, then I'd encourage you to try the profit gap tool yourself. All you've got to do is head to tool.mbsaccountants.co.uk, and if what you find there when you complete it makes you want to go deeper, then you can book a quick call with Jason, who's my head of growth. And if that makes sense, what we can do is we can do one of these sessions, the full Chaos to Clarity Intensive, together with the full money back guarantee in place. To just give you that peace of mind, you might be able to find tens of thousands of pounds in your business and improve your results. Anyway, let's get ourselves back in to Pinnacle. Okay, so for session 2, we need to be heading into the margin and pricing. So quickly just running over my notes here, we need to drop into the P&L side of things. So let's get rid of the bank statement. We don't need that anymore. Into the profit and loss, right? And we've got a 48% gross profit. Now, obviously, you can see my notes on screen here that the sector norm is 54 to 58%. Now, I benchmark that against some benchmarking tools that we've got for other businesses, but also against our existing client base where we've got other people with operating in similar industries as well. Now, for the type of business that these guys are, so it's commercial building services, they definitely can be operating in that sort of 54, 55% area. And if they can just shift that from 48 to 50, 54, 55%, that's £85,000 per year. Okay, so let's just run you through that maths. 678,000 divided by 48 times that by by 7, sorry, no, by 6, yeah, so we can take them from 48 up to 54%. Okay, now that's going to take some work and some effort, but it should be achievable. Okay, now that might need to be done through some price tweaking and so on, but if we can really just ramp that gross profit up, then we've got some big potential within there, and realistically that needs to be logged. It's one of the potential options that we've got, and it's the gross margin, and they are doing 48% versus low industry average of 54%. So if they can just get themselves up to that level, use pricing and buying power to increase GP percent. And there's 80. Well, it was actually 84,750, but let's just call it £85,000 for ease there, right? So that's another £85,000 that we found potential within there. Also, Dan's discounting. Oh yes, I know. So this is over on their estimation sheet. So it's not that one. Yes, the estimating sheet here. Okay, so Dan, who's the director of commercial services, so effectively like their sales guy, I suppose, in that respect, he prices all of the jobs, and he always gives discounts to try and win the work. That's just his nature. That's what he thinks he has to do. So I asked him if he looked back over the most recent years, has he ever lost a pitch where he didn't discount? And he's never really tested whether he actually needs to do that. Now you can see there's a few in here that where he hasn't done a discount and he's lost. There's also a few where he's done no discount and he's won. Yeah, so like we've got this one here, the boiler replacement for the 3 sites. He's won that with no discount in place. Now sometimes there's discounts as high as 15%. There's a 12% in there, and there's a few others. This one's a bit concerning at the top because he discounted this without even being asked. And then there's a few others here where they won and they lost. So this one was, the other way. They discounted 15% and they lost. But actually they lost based on the frameworks of what they could deliver, not based on pricing. So in 2024, there were 16 jobs. They won 13 of them, though they lost 2. 81% win rate is massive. Yeah, it's just huge. Wouldn't expect to be winning 81% of them. The average discount that they applied was 9.7%. They lost revenue of that at 53,200, which recovery at 5% reduction in habit. So if they manage to reduce what they're doing to not have this problem, so stop discounting. They're not going to go to absolutely nothing. We're just going to go down to that level. That's going to mean that there's 26,600 of additional profit that could be generated within this business by just tweaking the discounts that are being applied. Okay, so we do need to add that in. So there's the discounting approach. Set discounting limit at 5%. Sorry, that's the action that we need to be taking. I said that was going to do 26,600, I believe. Yeah, 26,600. What was found was average discount of near 10%. Okay, so there was that found, right? So really, really ramping it up now in terms of the possibilities. Discount recovery. So the project revenue that they had over on the P&L, you can see the project worked here was £532,000. Now, if the average discount here is 10%, approximately, then we're not saying we'll remove it. We're just saying that we're going to halve it. Yeah, so we're going to go from 10% to the 5%. That's the £26,600, and it's mainly just from stopping a habit that was never really been tested. Yeah, like if you look back across those pricings of jobs, there's no pattern. There's nothing you can particularly see. Some jobs are won where they don't discount. Some are won where they do. Some are lost where they do, and some are lost where they don't. There's no real pattern. I don't believe they're winning these based off the fact they're adding discounts in. That's my gut feeling. And I think they can test that by limiting the discount to 5% and see if they still win some work. And the great thing about any of this thing, guys, because I know the panic sets in to go, oh my God, we're going to lose all the jobs. Just try it. You can always change back. Yeah, if you go, we're only going to do a 5% discount, and then you've quoted for 3 jobs and you lost them all, right? Then there's a problem. And actually, you can go back to them people and you can go, do you know what? I got it wrong. I've realised that I got a bit wrong in my pricing. I forgot to apply the full discount that we can do on that situation. You can up it to 10%, see if you win the job, and it'll tell you whether the pricing was the issue. And this is what gets people stuck often, is a lot of the time, is not really understanding that you can make another decision. Just because you've made one decision doesn't mean it has to stop there. You can keep making further decisions, and sometimes they can undo what you've already done. Okay, let me just check if I had anything else relating to session 2. I do, the maintenance contracts. Okay. Right, so maintenance contract register. Let me just grab a drink, a bit of a sore throat here. Okay, so they've got these various maintenance contracts they've got in place. So you can see there's a number of them. There's larger ones up here at sort of 82,000. There's one up at 112. There's a couple down at the 30,000 or so level as well. So there's a bit of a mix that's going on. Now, there's 14 of these at the moment, and what we need to do is have a look at what contracts actually came to an end last year. And there's a few of them in here. So the contracts that lapsed, there were 3 contracts on here. And they, so just quickly looking across that. I'm sorry, I've jumped on my notes. See? Getting ahead of myself, guys. Getting on to session 3. Reading the wrong notes here. Session 2. The 14 maintenance contracts. The oldest client here has been on the same price since 2019. Yeah? So there's nothing happening. Yeah? This is the 2017 client, been on that price since 2019. And you can see the last time prices reviewed is one back in 2023. But that's it. Most of the stuff's really, really old. They've not really gone back and reviewed these contracts. And this is where problems creep in. So if you think about that client, that's 6 years now, the fact that we're in 2026, without them having a proper price review in place. And realistically, that should be coming up by inflation. If you're not praising your prices by inflation, you're going backwards, right? And sometimes it's too long and it's caught up with you. So even if the fact that we went 3% and we phase it over a 6-month period, then if you take the value of all of these maintenance contracts, which you can see them down here, £880,000, if we add a 3% increase across these, then that's £26,400 in a year. Okay? I can't see that clients are going to leave over 3%. If they do, the relationship wasn't that strong. Okay? So I really, really feel that there's an opportunity within there for inflationary price increases. So there's no increases across most clients. We need a 3% increase and an annual process for covering that. Okay, and we said that's another £26,400 based off my notes. Okay, then back onto the P&L. We've got the materials and consumables, right? So £94,000 in here. All of these are passed on at the cost plus 5%. However, I know from other people in the industry and clients that we've got that the sector norm is actually 15 to 20%. Okay? So they're not seizing opportunities here in terms of making some margin on the materials and consumables that they're purchasing. That gap isn't huge, but it is another £14,000 a year. Okay? And it's a pricing policy. Yeah, it's not a renegotiation. It's just the fact to go, need to have some room on the materials. Sometimes materials go a bit wrong. We have to buy replacements, blah, 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 defects and so on. So there needs to be that built in, right? So again, this was effectively a pricing issue. Only 5% on top of costs, on top of cost price for materials. Increase to 15%. And that increase to 15% is another £14,000 per year based on the current spend. Okay? So now we're really, really running into this. We're really finding some money. We're up to £201,000. To be fair, it's big opportunities that are available here. Okay. Now, not all of this, though, relates to actual profits. So they do need some editing across this. So I was just having a look. So the 5% on top of the materials cost, at 14,000. that does generate some additional profit. But the 48, this is only coming in as general gross profit, so there needs to be an adjustment for that relating to net profit. So if we just run that back across to here, the 85,000, but there's going to be a reduction in it, yeah. There's going to be some of their general costs that are going to go up because of that. So this was the case that 16,300. Just quickly do my maths relating to here. In fact, this was a sales element here. So that 26,400 in there, that needs to be at the rate that they were charging. So it was at 9.1%. So that's effectively 2,376. The average discount as well, so we're increasing that. That's then going to do that. So 2,600 times 9.1%. That's 2,421. 2,420. Sorry. Okay, and the gross profit gap. That then the difference there. 1.6 minus 1,530. 36,796. This actually only has an impact on the profits of 36,796. Okay, so we've got this adjustments then. So some of this is obviously relating to sales totals. Then we've got the fact to come through to the net profit. Now, there can be the case that if they've improved the profitability, then actually the net profit won't be at 9%, so the impact could be bigger. But what we only know is the profit is at 9%, so we can't assume that all the other things happen. So we can only work on that current level. So based on the 9% profit margins, this is the various improvements we can get. So we found 104,982 in terms of the running total. However, that's not quite right compared to my notes. So 2 seconds, what did I miss? It's relating to that one, 106,500 minus 104,892. Sorry, so I got this one wrong. So my maths wasn't quite mathing. It was 48,404. Okay, so there we go. So it's 48,404 here. That's relating to the profit margins from the gross profit that's increased. Yeah, because I adjusted that then for the sales total, but that's not. It's because it was already at gross profit level. So that's why that one's at that level. The others are on the net profit impact element. So we're up to the fact that we've got £116,500. So at this rate, we've almost matched the entire profit that the business made last year in just those 2 sessions. Okay, so we haven't even looked at the other areas, right? Which the further areas we've got is the fact that you've got churn and retention, so that's clients leaving, and the fact that you've got increase in the average order value. So we've got some serious gaps that have been found within the business without really diving deep into those areas. It's been a great couple of sessions, but I feel like we should move on to session 3. So I confirm the fact that we found the £1,500 they paid for the session because we've hit 116,500. And even if it's the case it can't apply all of these, confident in the fact that we've got £1,500 worth that we can cover. So let's move on and get ourselves over to that session 3. So quickly diving into my notes, we've got the 14 active contracts, and we've got who left last year. So it was in those ones. Here we go. So lapsed contracts that we've got. So based off last year, we've got these 3 that left. Okay, so the Solihull Business Hub, the Bedworth Civic Centre, and the Kenilworth Residential Management. There's some significant value in here. So 30, 60, best part of £90,000, 87,000 in fact, of value that was lost. There's no exit conversation, right? There's no formal conversation on this one. Dan found out afterwards what happened relating to this one. So it was a new facilities manager, changed preferred supplier list, and 3 months later found out that there was a slow response to a breakdown call and the client was unhappy. They never complained. It was just a renewal that just didn't end up coming back. Okay, so with Dan not really knowing at the time why these people left, there's very little that can be done to recover those. And these are really his best information, right? He found this out after 3 months. He also found this one out later. This one, he doesn't really know. This is a bit of a guess. Know that they went to a national facilities management company. They think it's on price. Don't really know. Okay. Now, there's some potential to be recovered, potentially. The relationship was good. Dan does know the facilities management manager on that one. There's low opportunity relating to that one. There's a new facilities manager. There's no real relationship. Might be worth a quick call just to see what can be done. And then there's the other one, which, yes, there's some great opportunity relating to the Kenilworth one. There's the original relationship. It's really, really strong. And they left over one incident. I'm sure that they can have a conversation and see where that was at. So the one with the no exit conversation in place. So if we go on the basis that we can potentially win that one back, ignore this possibly, ignore this low, to go, actually, if they can speak to these guys, they didn't really complain. They were just unhappy with this one slow response to a breakdown call. I'm sure they can have the conversation, talk to them about the fact that maybe all the other ones were on time, maybe even faster than expected. There's a good possibility that that could be won back. And that's the 28,400, which is going to bring in the profit, yeah? So that 28,400 at the current profit percents, 2,556. Okay? So there's a potential there of finding 2,556 pounds. So we've got, they left over one incident. The annual impact is 2,556. Give them a call and discuss. Coming back. You never know what's going on with them. Give them a call, have a chat. You might be able to get the fact and get them back on board. Okay. That was it for really what we could find regarding churn and retention. It was just those limited opportunities there. You've got this main action that you can do relating to these, but the fact with this, it's real high opportunity. Get them a direct call into them. Offer. We did note for the fact they could offer a free call out as a gesture of goodwill. It's a couple of £100, yeah, to win 28 grand a year. I think there's a good opportunity there. Okay. That was it. Session 3 was a little bit light in terms of what we could find. That was the opportunity, but it meant that we're up to over £119,000 of opportunity so far. Okay. Dive into session 4. Now, session 4 is all designed around the average order values. So I'm just having a quick look at what we've got. The average order value upsell matrix. Brilliant. So, in fact, if we just go back over to the contracts list, you can see 8 of these in here are HVAC maintenance contracts only. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They've got gas and HVAC. They've got gas and HVAC. Yeah, that was fine. Okay, so not very many of these people have been offered a compliance package. Okay, you can see there's not very many that's going on relating to it. There's 2 there. Sorry, 3 there. They had a partial one, I suppose. So what we thought is that's quite an easy sell. Yeah, they need some gas safety side of things. They need water hygiene. They're already on site. It effectively covers the cost of getting there. It's a really simple upsell, and it's not really being offered. Plus, the client already has got the trust. Surely it makes the most sense that these guys are doing the compliance element when the trust is already there. They're already on site anyway. So if we went for the fact that they could have 3 conversations and win these, and there's £2,000 a year, £2,100 a year for each, then that's £6,300. Not from a new client, just from what they could potentially do with the ones that they've got. So if we've got the fact that we can upsell people with compliance services not offered, the action required is call and win 3 clients. We've got 2,100 of each of those, so that's 6,300. Times at the 9% level, it's £567 that potentially could be found in additional profit. Now, don't forget, we're only doing these at the 9% level. If all of these things come in, the business is going to make far more than 9% net profit. It's going to be up towards the 20% or so level. But we don't know that. We can only go the fact that they might just do this one thing. Yeah, if they just do that one thing, that's not going to improve the profit margin. It's everything together that's going to improve that. So that's the 567. Okay, so I've got a note that 5 clients have asked about that. So reactive cover tier, right? So they've got these various tiers that they do, right? They've got the compliance add-on, they've got the reactive cover tier. These guys here, they raised this informally in 2023 and nobody followed up with the opportunity. There's £1,000 potentially there. These guys also raised it informally. There's another £1,200 there. These ones raised it informally. These ones raised it informally. These ones raised it informally. So you've got multiple people who are asking them to be sold to. They're like, please, please come and sell to me. I would like to have this service. Which, wouldn't we all love that, to have that within our business? You've got customers coming to you saying, I would like this additional service. Please, can you sell it to me? There isn't really the formal product in place, but I don't think it's difficult for them to put together, and it makes complete sense. So at £800 to £1,200 a year, if we go on the basis that only managed to convert 2 of these because a number of them have already sorted something out, then that's another £2,000 worth of income generated for a year at £2,000 at 9.1% is £182 of additional profit as well. So that's also another upsell area, and it was the reactive cover. So set up new product for reactive cover. And the annual impact at the moment, £182, but like I say, it could come up further from there, and they've got numerous clients of which they could offer that to as well. Okay, and that's effectively it for this session. So only £749 found, but we managed to find £119,805 across all 4 sessions. So what we can do is give you a quick run back across all of these. So let's just go back to session 1. Session 1 was a big one. We found loads in here because there were tools that were being bought at incorrect times and duplicates. And the reason these get such an impact is because they're costs, there aren't any extra costs of saving costs. Yeah, you just save them and they're all profit, right? The tools are being bought. You've got the waste collections that are too frequent, the delivery food service thing, the Simpro and Jobber that's in place, QuickBooks and Xero that's in place. They're also potentially overpaying on insurance. Let's just make that a little bit clear. So yeah, potentially overpaying on the insurance, and the fact that they've got the oversized unit that they're renting. All of those things, that brought in £49,300. Then over on session 2, managed to find another big chunk here. So there was the industry average. They needed to try and improve their profit margins here. The average discount, and no increase has been actioned across most of the clients, and also a 5% on top of the current price of materials at 14,000. So some significant improvements that could be found across the business there. Then as we rolled into session 3, got a little bit lighter here. We just got the one that we could find, give them a call, see if we can get them to come back. That's going to add £2,500 to the profit margin. And then finally, session 4 was a little tight in terms of things, but again, we're working on the 9% margin. I think if all the things are actioned from session 1, that margin's already coming up towards 15%. That's effectively doubling what the impact of these is. So instead of being £750, this is more like £1,500. So there's some big savings there as well. So overall, we managed to find that £119,805. If you go for the fact that these guys whip across their P&L, they were making £128,500. We pretty much doubled the profitability of that business within the 4 sessions. It's a brilliant result. Send the reports to the client. They've got everything that they could need relating to that. So just looking across at my notes, Steve and Dan obviously were very happy with the fact that they spent £1,500. They got £120,000 worth of value out of that. They've been 12 years in business, and they said that actually they always thought that the way that the business would grow was through hard work, but actually this was clever work that they did. So no new clients needed. There was no new contracts as such needed. They just needed to be able to talk to people, increase the average order value in a few places, win some people back. And we've managed to find nearly the whole year's worth of profit just within those 4 sessions. Now, what I wanted to close with was, as my business mentor, Dan, always says, that if you want a better business, then you have to become a better business owner. But personally, I would take that one step further. That becoming a better business owner starts with looking through the business lens. And that lens, in my view, is your numbers. They always tell a story. With the right help, we usually find a lot of leaking profit. So until next time, remember, the numbers always reveal the leak.